Tactics for the 21st century. CoverYourAssets21.com is the website. You can jump on there and download a free copy of the Financial Crisis Bible. Get to know the team a little bit better through Todd's fabulous book there. Craig Nestor here. We've got Todd Rooker, and on the line with us live from Las Vegas, Mr. Scott Letourneau from Nevada Corporate Planners. So guys, we were talking about some pretty interesting business development tools that Scott drives prior to the break.
Well, there's a reason why we have Scott Letourneau on the show. And he fits into this triage because, foreclosure defense is only part of the overall arching strategy of this radio show. We title this The Fall and Rise Again of the American Homeowner. So we have to get the family to a soft landing, and once there, we're going to have to fix that credit score, improve it, get them on a power budget so they're spending money powerfully, and also have an opportunity to generate wealth for themselves because they may not be getting a job that serves that type of income that they're seeking for their family. It's okay to step out there and create something on our own. Scott Letourneau provides the tactical blueprint, just like we did on the fall. He does it on the rise again. So we can have a tactical blueprint, an ABC of what to do and how to do it to create wealth in the new now. Scott?
But the other thing, though, that's important that you brought up in the break is that, okay, people don't, how do we talk to a person who's out there struggling, trying to find a way to make a living? They don't have a whole lot of money. And then you talk to them about some type of product. And while Scott has a tremendous amount of information that he makes available for free, the reality is you're going to pay something for this. And people say, well, I don't have any money to pay for it. Okay, great. Stumble around, try to find people who know how to do this, waste your money determining that these people really don't know what they're talking about. And now you're broke, and whatever little resource you had to build your business is now gone. And we don't have to talk about building a business anymore because you don't have any money to do anything with. So finding the right people and the right information is something worth paying for, and it's something worth having at your disposal. We bring people on the show who are extraordinary at what they do. We're not talking about average people who are in a business, and just because they happen to be willing to pay a sponsorship dollar to be on a radio show, they're on here. I don't do anything that way. The people who come on this show are phenomenal at what they do, and it really minimizes the seeking of folks who know what they're doing in a particular profession or field, so that you can go right to that person, have utter confidence that they're going to be able to help you, and minimize the cost in projecting yourself out in a business in the future.
Absolutely. So, Scott, give us an idea of what the average person who comes to Nevada Corporate Planners, what's the first thing that they're looking for with your company?
Well, when they call us, what they're typically going to do is say, I'm looking to start a business, and I'm not sure how I should be organized. Should I be a sole proprietorship, a corporation, LLC? Which state should I do it in? If I'm in Minnesota, should I do it in Nevada, Foreign Register, Delaware, Wyoming? They'll talk about credit, capital, accounting, IRS concerns about are they going to run a real hobby or business? And then, of course, how do I make money with my business? So it's usually all of these issues around structure and strategy. So we walk them through a step-by-step blueprint, as Craig has said, to get them through this process, because the big challenge is there is no business startup store. It's never been invented.
There's no business, there's no startup business startup store?
There is no, as I mentioned, talked to Michael Gerber, of the founder of the E-Myth, and said there is no McDonald's as a business startup store. You walk in and they do all parts. And that's one of the biggest challenges. People get different information. And just understand, if you go to your accountant, they're going to give you tax advice, the attorney and legal advice, financial planner, financial planning advice. And the challenge is each one has a very specific niche, and they're probably correct in their niche, but it doesn't typically overlap. So that's why we've done this research for 14 years. I've spoken internationally on this subject and throughout the U.S. to help people do things that make sense. For example, a lot of people are going to start their business as a sole proprietorship, but they already have financial challenges, and they're going to max out their personal credit cards getting their business started, and they shoot themselves in the foot, and they would be much better off forming a separate legal entity, separate their personal and business credit, and separate the ability for success with their cash flow moving forward. Then we quickly automate those things they need, because if you're working 14 hours a day starting a new business, we want you to focus on bringing in profits, new customers, new clients, leverage other people's assets. I can give you an example or two of specifically how to do that. We talked about joint ventures for a moment. That's the key to get off to a fast start to profits.
And that's why when I hear people say, well, I just have two quick questions and that's really all I need, I always laugh about that because just exactly as you've described, Scott, we have to be conscious of the fact that there's many ancillary pieces that are floating in the nebula. And if you don't bring them all together, you'll fixate on one particular issue despite all the other ones that are out there. You have to have a much more grand strategy to approach everything. And this notion when a person sits down and says, I just have two quick questions, and if I get those, then I'm ready to go, I already know that person is thinking about their business improperly right from the onset.
I agree 100%. I mean, the biggest problem when you start a business, you don't know what you don't know. What's worse than that, if you know something you think to be accurate, find out later it's not accurate. And the worst criteria to sort for advice and solutions is, what do you charge? But that's the knee-jerk reaction by everybody. They have no criteria to evaluate. If somebody said your service was free or $10,000, it doesn't mean free is a better value. It might be, but you got to ask some questions to determine it. And one of the things I found out is nobody educates people about what questions to ask their professionals. So that's one of the things we did over the years. We put a step-by-step process of what are the interview questions. There is a difference between a good CPA and a bad CPA. Is like any profession. So we want to arm people with the information to get the best results for their business, their financial success, and their family.
I agree, Scott. I've been paid for years to sit down at meetings with my clients' advisors so that I can be there to ask the right questions, because so rarely are they taught how to ask the right questions. The idea that you go to a paid consultation where you're paying $200, $300, $500 an hour and you don't even bring a notepad and a pen to take notes with is beyond imagination. And people do these things all the time because they really don't know the questions to ask.
Well, it's a new now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a new now in saving your house. It's a new now in creating a business. And before, Todd, we could make mistakes because we could refinance our house or we could put it on a credit card. We don't have those options now. We have to get this tactical advice.
And can you give us, Scott, some examples of the types and sizes of companies that you work with on a regular basis?
It's across the board, kind of like what Todd mentioned earlier with what you guys do is everybody from a home-based business owner, a lot of people in network marketing, direct sales, a lot of people in the internet marketing industry, a lot of real estate investors, developers, and typically a smaller business might have 3 or 4 or 5 employees. And a lot of times we get people that have 3 or 4 companies, and they're going to start a side business, another joint venture into another area. Or it could be as simple as somebody's looking to protect their safe assets, their investments. A lot of people have gold, silver, things of this nature, and it's owned by their living trust, which they didn't quite understand. It protects them from probate, but not from liability. So we come into play from that angle also.
Scott, as I sit here as a consumer and I'm listening going, I know I need tactical advice. I know I need the blueprint. I really would appreciate it. I don't know if I can afford this or not. It feels like I'm almost out of my league here to engage you. Is there a way where, can you give me an example of a smaller type client that could fit in easily and just get started?
Yeah, so, you could be one of your, if you've been laid off, you were a business consultant, you want to start a simple home-based business, you would call us up, we'd take you through the process to form the right entity for you, how to help you maximize your home-based business deductions and expenses from the IRS, and help structure that for you and actually give you tools and training. I mean, when you, for example, become a client of us you come to our event, or even if you don't come to our Ultimate Joint Venture Boot Camp, when you invest in that program, we have the last 2 years training online. You get lifetime access to training for less than $300. Lifetime training. So it's not very expensive also, and we want you to be successful. In fact, we give away a lot of free resources because we know things are tight. Yes, we do have fees, but we want to earn your business and make sure you can be successful and profitable, because honestly it does us no good if 95% of our clients go out of business each year. In fact, at renewal time, it's an extraordinary number, but over 70% of our clients renew with us each year.
An example would be somebody who's maybe in the business of, let's say, an auto mechanic who does side work and wants to develop that business to another level. I know of somebody in particular who did exactly that thing. And then when they went to strive out on their own, they went to get business credit and attempt to get a merchant processing machine so they could process credit cards. They had established no business entity. They had established no business credit. And when they went to go and get a credit card processing machine, they were unable to do so. They'd been doing this work on the side for over 3 years. Had they talked to somebody like you when they started, they could have had 3 solid years of business credit and established a business entity, and they would have been able to accelerate their business threefold by taking credit cards at that point. But because they didn't properly plan, they were not able to do it. And now we've got to establish that over a period of time from today rather than 3 years ago. That's the type of stuff that you can help people with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have so many resources and just even merchant accounts, if different situations, and that is the challenge. People they don't look at starting a business, they look at, I need to make some extra money next month, and that's the wrong approach. You want to look at it as, I want to be in business 3 to 5 years from today. How do I get off on the right foundation? How do I do it affordably and have the solutions to somebody? I got solutions all around the world. I've done training in Australia, the UK, all over. And that's one of the biggest things when you work with us. We have amazing resources. Each month I interview world-class experts on the subject. I do that to bring people to be successful. I interviewed a guy the other day, 82 years old. His businesses have not only survived 11 recessions, they've actually never dropped in sales in 11 different recessions. And I thought, that's extraordinary. I need to interview that guy for my clients. So we bring that information to you on a monthly basis also.
Okay, Scott, give us a phone number here to reach you if anybody wants to. Well, they can go online to nvinc.com, nvinc.com. Actually, I've got your number here, and we'll get it after the break. Thanks so much, Scott Letourneau.